Good morning. If you want to be more confident right now, this is the live for you. Welcome to Business Breakfast in Bedhead. My name's Dawn Bradley, and I'm so excited that you're here. We are doing a recording of the Anxious Creative Podcast right now, and I am so stoked. So if you don't get all of this live, that's okay. It's going to be over on the Anxious Creative Podcast tomorrow. But I know that you want more confidence. I know there's conversations, there's conflicts, there's avoiding potential confrontation that you are doing right now because you just don't feel like you have the confidence. Maybe it's a price increase, maybe it's changing your schedule, maybe it's having conversations, whatever it is in your life or your business that you wish you had more confidence, or maybe it's just like showing up and doing the services that you offer. This is for you this morning. So good morning and welcome. And I just want to remind you guys that this is a safe space, a judgment-free zone where we can show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable together. Confidence is one of those things that is a really tough conversation to talk about vulnerably because not a lot of us want to admit that we don't have the confidence that we wish, or we can only admit it with people that we feel safe and secure with. So I want you to know that you're in a safe space, you're in a judgment-free zone. And what I always ask when we do these lives is that you guys all commit to this with me together. So if you can put a yes in the comments to show everyone else in this room that you're a safe person to be around, that shows not only everybody else, but it also shows that inner critic in the back of your mind that's telling you you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, you would never, it won't come out right, they'll misunderstand, you'll come across the wrong way. It's going to kick that voice to the curb, and it's going to help you show up more clearly today, hear things in a way that you haven't, and just be open to seeing things from a different perspective. So we've got yes from Always Flourish. Amy does my hair, says yes. Jessica says yes. Miss Cindy, I hope I'm saying that right, says yes. Cedar Rapids says yes. Wellness, the Body Shop. Maggie says yes. Angie says yes. I love it. Okay, so before we get into it, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Katrina says yes. I love it. So when I first started out in the beauty industry as a hairstylist, I was not confident in my skill at all. And I remember I did a post about this a little while ago. Just let me sip my Eon's coffee, you guys. When I first started out, I was not confident in my skill. I had gone to school. I felt like I knew what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, I was in a salon having to do clients' hair that just wasn't confident. And everyone was saying, fake it till you make it. But I was like, how do you fake it? And when someone would say, how long have you been doing hair? I'd be like, and I would count my 3 years in high school taking cosmetology. How many of you guys can relate to that? When someone asks, how long have you been doing this? And you're fresh out of school and you're like, you count school, you count all the times that you did your friend's hair or services, right? Because you're just not confident and you fear more so that other people aren't going to be confident in you. So your lack of confidence then projects this fear of, if I'm not confident in myself, they're not going to be confident. And if they question me, then I for sure can't be confident. And it comes into this vicious cycle. So when I was first in the industry and people were asking me, how long have you been doing hair? I'd be like, around 3 years, because I'd be like grade 10, 11, 12 cosmetology. And then hair school was 10 months, which I actually finished in 8 because I just wanted to be up there. So I would stretch the truth. I would lie. I would fake it till I made it. And what ended up happening is because I was telling people, I was kind of stretching the truth and telling people, I was setting myself up for failure because instead of being honest and upfront, I was putting this other projection out there. And so all of a sudden I was telling people, yeah, I've been doing hair for 3 years. They had an expectation of where I was at. And what I was trying to do was win their confidence in me, hoping that if they had confidence in me, then I would have confidence myself. I was handing out my worth and value to people elsewhere outside of me so that they would affirm and validate me. But what ended up happening is it caused more anxiety in me because I was then putting this false front of who I was, what I was capable of, rather than admitting. And I want you guys to know right now, the most confident people are the ones who can admit their weaknesses and admit when they're wrong. So the actual key to becoming confident and more confident, being able to have hard conversations, being able to navigate conflicts or people being aggressive with you, is being able to be honest and transparent. Confidence is born from courage and vulnerability. So no word of a lie, yesterday I was having a private conversation with someone being like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to this person about this thing. And I mean, the details don't matter. And I was like, but I'm nervous they're going to get the wrong idea. I'm nervous they're going to be thinking that I'm asking for something that I'm not. And I had to take my own advice and go, why don't I start with, hey, I'm nervous that this is going to come across this way. So many times we get caught up in our heads thinking, oh, well, what if they think this? What if that? Well, why don't you just clear the air from the beginning? Confidence is born from courage and vulnerability. So stop thinking that your confidence is going to come when other people start believing in you, when other people start validating you, and that confidence comes externally. Confidence comes internally, and confidence comes from being able to admit when you're wrong, being able to be honest. My very first big speaking gig was in front of 3 people in this huge lecture theater, and I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I'm gonna mess up, I'm gonna freak out. Like I always had this dream of speaking in front of people, but I was like, I'm shy, I'm anxious, I'm awkward, I'm nervous. Like, who am I to, why, like, am I just wanting to do it for, like, I just had, like, but I was like, no, I know my voice needs to be heard. And so this is in 2019, February 2019. I walked in, it was a huge lecture hall of 300 people standing there. And I just walked out and I went, oh my gosh, my armpits are so sweaty right now. I'm so nervous. And everyone broke into laughter, and it brought this ease over me. And then I was confident to show up as myself. And so I want you to know that your confidence will come when you start being yourself, when you show up with courage and vulnerability, which means how, and now look at you. Oh, thank you. And I still get nervous, and I still have to be, anytime I start to see myself warping into someone that I'm not, I realize I'm not being my true self, and I'm not going to show up with the most confidence. And so in a world where we are constantly being bombarded with what to do, how to be, how to show up, this'll work, that'll work, do it this way, da 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 da. Honestly, my key to success and my hack to success and confidence for you today is just be yourself. Don't be my version of myself. Don't be that person's version of themselves. Be inspired. But the moment that I stop trying to be all calculated in things, okay, and my programs, Rock Your Business, is opening up for enrollment next week. I have the client building bundle. I have the policy pathway. It's just been renamed. It used to be called Rock Your Consultation. I have programs that help you with the strategy, with the plan, with the layout, but I never want you to get so caught up and not be flexible around how you do things, right? And so that's why when I talk about price increases and I say, give your clients notice. And every time I post, you should give your clients notice that your prices are going up. Someone in the comments is like, I don't do that. We don't have to. Grocery store, gas station, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. That's fine, because they don't struggle with the confidence. They don't get anxious about it. I want you to know that everything I teach, everything that I share comes from a place of if it feels comfortable and is going to help you show up more confidently. So I want to use this price increase example for a second. If you guys are with me on this, let me know. Just give me like a thumbs up or some hearts on the side if you guys are tracking. A lot of people, there are like, my biggest red flag, I'm all about creating conscious consumers. I want you guys to be able to purchase, invest your time, invest your money, invest your mental health into things that are going to be working for you. And the biggest red flag I have about education out there is when someone says there's only one way to do things. Because there can be one way to do things for you, but their way of doing things might not be there. And that's where my education is really different. That's why where I come from is very different place, because I never want you guys to feel trapped by how I do things. I want you to be inspired and motivated to take what I share with you. And if that package works well and you're going to be able to show up confidently, then yes, do it. If you need to adapt and evolve it so that it can help you show up more confidently, do it. You know you best. But sometimes we need a framework. We need a step-by-step plan first to be able to follow and adapt. You need a template. That's what my education is. My education is a template for you, not a one-size-fits-all. I think I just came up with the realization now. My education is a template. Because starting from scratch, you shouldn't start from scratch with anything. And so I give you guys templates to find out what's going to work best for you. So with the price increase thing I was saying, some people are like, you shouldn't give notice. The grocery store doesn't give notice. FYI though, the grocery store, you know what you're paying for something before you go pay for it. So saying you shouldn't give notice, and it's like the grocery store, the gas station, you still know how much you're paying for your gas. I mean, if you're really good at math, you can figure out what your tank will cost, but you know what per liter, per quart, whatever it is, you know the price beforehand. So I'm not saying across the board, everyone should give notice for their price increase or that you have to, but if it's going to eliminate anxiety and stress and fear and the potential of you emotionally discounting, the potential of you keeping people on old prices and not telling them, the potential of you actually sabotaging your price increase for the purpose of what it's for, then do it. My education is here for a template so that you can show up as your most confident self to get the results that you crave. So not only so you can have the business that you've dreamed of, but for me, I am here to give you the life, business, and bank account you've always dreamed of. I could give a shit if you're making good money if you're working yourself to the bone and not having a life you love. You deserve to have the life you love. The reason why we have jobs, and we're so lucky, we're in work that we love what we do. And then we feel guilty for making money and good money off of doing something we love because other people haven't had the guts and the confidence to go after something they desire. They are stuck in a 9 to 5 job that they hate, that they're making good money, and they can't imagine. They think that you have to hate what you do in order to make good money, which is not true. The next time someone says, must be nice to make that kind of money just doing hair or just doing this, or must be nice to be able to do that, go, yeah, it really is. I don't have time for people who make passive aggressive comments wanting me to run after them. I'm not going to go and dissect your words for you, and I'm not going to read between the lines. If you're not adult enough to be straightforward and frank with me, I'm not even going to play your game. I played that game for too long. Who's with me on this? If people are going to shame, judge, guilt, or even if here's the other thing, no one can make you feel any way. You get to choose how you feel. So the moment that someone says, must be nice to make that kind of money, or must be nice to be able to raise your prices, or must be nice to take a pay raise, or must be nice to do this or that, then go, yeah, it absolutely is. I'm so lucky to have a job and a career that I love and I can make a good living off of. Take it at face value. Even if you think their intention or their undertone is something else, don't play that game. Be the bigger person. Good morning, and I look radiant today. Oh, thank you. Maybe it's this shirt. I want you guys to know that your most confident self, you know you best. But to be most confident, you're not being catty. You're not being passive aggressive. You're confident in who you are. So if someone makes a snide, snippy, sideways comment, you don't play into it. You just go, oh, thank you. It is really. I got an email once, and I've shared it on here before, where a client sent this big, long, anonymous email about a $10 increase that I had. And it was anonymous, but funny enough, I only had like 2 clients. It was all about just haircuts. I only had 2 clients that were haircut clients. So I knew I was a color specialist full time. I knew exactly who it was. But I got this whole email being like, and it was in 2017, I believe, 2017 or 2018, being like, in this economy, I can't believe Dawn would give herself a raise. My price increase went up $10 in January. The sad thing is I wanted to defend and be like, hey, my product cost went up. This isn't that actual price increase that time was not a pay raise. It was to maintain. And it can be, and I want to validate our feelings of frustration. I want to validate your feelings of feeling frustrated that we're not seen as professionals, that we're not seen as respected authorities. And the thing is that I know that frustration. How come our clients don't see that it's not us taking the money and putting it in our pocket? And why do us as one-to-one service providers get feeling guilty for that? Why does the outside world seem to look that way? Why don't our clients treat big corps this way, going, oh, like the gas station went up, must be nice for them, must be nice for that CEO to get, lining their pockets. They don't view it. They're not sending anonymous emails there. It is frustrating. I want to acknowledge that and validate that. However, don't play into it. Don't play into it. The more you let that eat away at you, the more you're going to show up defensively and not confidently. And so I want you guys to know, think of this way. And I think I posted a reel yesterday, or maybe it's coming up. If you're playing a game of, what kind of game did you play growing up? Soccer, basketball, baseball? Put whatever game, like what other game that you played against another team with, or maybe it's just like a one-on-one, but you played against someone with. Let me know what kind of sport you played, have ever played that was with another person or with another team. I played basketball growing up, so that's the example I'm going to use. If my team was always going, how do we protect our net? How do we make sure we don't get attacked? We would be constantly on the defense, and we'd go out there and we would be playing softball. We'd be playing defense. And what happens when you go on the defense is that you invite the offense to come. And so many of you, and so many of us, and myself included, have gone into the game of business playing defense. How are you ever going to make a goal? How are you ever going to score if you're always on the defense? And if you watched a baseball game, if you watched a basketball game, if you watched whatever game, and a team went out onto the field and just went and assumed defense, what other choice does the other team have but to play offense? And so you need to start showing up. And I'm not saying go on the offense, because I know my analogies take a little bit of imagination. But if you showed up confidently, have you ever seen those movies where it's like the people they're like, it's a football game and they're growling and they're like frothing at the mouth and they're intimidating the other team, right? And then the other team shows up defensively. And so I know what it's like to feel bullied or intimidated by clients. But the only way to combat that is with confidence. Go out and play the game well. And when you show up confidently rather than defensively, defensive invites an aggressive, or a defensive invites an aggressive or an assertive response. When you show up confidently, you invite an understanding, you invite a listening ear, you invite openness from the other side. So I want you to remember that. Don't get on the defense in your business. So when you hear those snippy comments, when you hear, don't engage defensively. I know when I got that email, I really wanted to be like, just so you know, well, I mean, I couldn't, it was an anonymous email. It said like, just want to start the conversation. So I couldn't even reply. I was defenseless. One, I had my moment. I let myself feel it. I got eaten up by it. And then I was like, you know what, this person doesn't want to actually have a conversation, and they're not willing to put their name on it. And so anything anonymous, I don't entertain. I feel it. I let it eat away at me for a certain amount of time. And then I'm like, I can't pay attention to anything that someone's not willing to put their face and name to. Keyboard warriors, right? This is exactly what I needed. I love that, Katrina. And I want you guys to stick around because I have something really exciting to share with you guys in just a few minutes. And so I want you guys to know that if someone's not going to engage in an open dialogue with you, but it's not worth it. But we need to understand sometimes the way we interpret things, if we're showing up on the defense, we're going to receive things and we're going to hear them in a certain way. So, pure example of this, the first time I charged someone over $500 for a hair color, I was really, really, really nervous. It was the most I'd ever charged. We'd gone through it in a consultation. They agreed to it. I knew that they knew what they were going to be paying at the end. I always give, I break this down in my policy pathway program, but I always give a range in the consultation so that I'm not stuck with like, if it takes more color, if it takes more time. So I gave her a range. I'm like, it's going to be between $500 and $550 for you today. She was okay with it. At the end of the appointment, I brought her to my front desk and I gave her the thing and I said, okay, so it's $500 or whatever it was exactly. And she went, oh, I've never paid this much for my hair before. And I heard it and I was like, I was ready to be like, well, you said you were okay with it in the beginning. I got mad at first internally, and this all happened in like a split second. I was like, I wanted to be like, well, you said you were going to pay it. And then in the other split second, it was like, oh, I should just dock some money off of it. Does anyone relate to that? It's like, I was pissed. I'm like, how dare she? She's saying it's too much. She agreed to it. But then I just paused, and this is like the best thing I can ever teach you. I just paused and took a sip of my water. Because I was like, don't react, respond. Reaction is through emotion. Reactions come from emotion that you're feeling. Response comes from calm neutrality. So I was like, just take a second. And she went, but I never loved my hair this much before. And in that moment, I realized that she made a statement and I interpreted it through the ears of insecurity. I was feeling insecure about my price, this new price that I was charging, because it was the first time I was charging it. I knew I was taking my business to the next level. I knew I was giving value, but I was still insecure about it. I wasn't feeling 100% confident. And she'd agreed to it, but all she said was, I've never paid this much for my hair before. It's just a statement. And then she went on to say, but I've never loved my hair this much before. And I realized I heard that statement with the ears of insecurity, and I interpreted it and dissected it. And I want you guys to start being conscious consumers and conscious business owners and realizing, what am I adding and attaching to what my clients say out of my own fear and insecurity? What am I adding and attaching and assuming to what my client is saying, that text message? What tone am I assuming to that message? What obligation am I attaching? What expectation am I attaching because I don't feel confident enough? And so then I want you to then go re-listen or pause like I did and go, wow, hearing my client go, wow, I've never paid this much for my hair before. But I've never loved my hair this much before. And I realized in that moment, she was just making a statement. And I was ready to react defensively. I was ready to be like, well, you said, or I was ready to give an emotional discount. How many times do you sabotage your business, your finances, because you are hearing things with the hearing of insecurity? Oh, that's a tough one. And so I want to leave you guys with that today is remember, confidence comes from being honest and being able to admit when you get things wrong and being able to be vulnerable. Confidence is born from vulnerability and courage. The more vulnerable and courageous you can be, the more confident you will be. It is not fake it till you make it. That will be cockiness, and it will build up the insecurity. I will tell you, when I appeared my most confident back in the day, when people were giving me compliments, I was cocky, which meant it was born out of ego. I got all my worth and validation externally, and I was so insecure. Cockiness is born out of ego that comes from intense insecurity. Confidence is born from courageousness and vulnerability. The moment I started allowing myself to show up courageously and vulnerable, the moment I started talking about, my mental health, the moment I started being able to tell my clients, you know what, I'm not super confident that I can get these results today. The moment that I started saying, you know what, I'm not really happy with this toner. I don't have time today, but can I get you to come back later this week? The trust, respect, loyalty, and authority that I started to create with my clients in my business, and how I was able to go, oh, this weight came off my shoulders. I'm like, oh, cat's out of the bag, right? I started telling my clients, you know what? I'm going to show up with all my skill, talent, knowledge, and experience. But the reality is, this is my first time doing your hair, and I don't know how it's going to react and respond because I don't know the history of it completely. And so, the more you can tell me about the last couple of years of history of chemicals, and the more honest you can be with me, that's going to help me. But the reality is that you're a variable. Your health, your medications, your hormones all play into your hair, and so I can't guarantee results. And I don't like having to say that to you, but I wouldn't be doing my job, and it would be a disservice to you if I wasn't completely transparent with you. I'm going to show up and do my best with all my skill, talent, knowledge, and experience. And I'm going to walk you through and keep you updated with what's going on. But I can't guarantee you a result. The more I do your hair, the more I do your service, the more probability I can get. But the reality is dealing with chemicals, and this is one thing I always say to my clients, and I really want you guys to adapt this. I'm on a mission to get signatures required, because we're dealing, especially hairstylists or estheticians, we're dealing with chemicals on people's skin. Getting them to sign off and having them understand this isn't. And one of my clients was like, should I go somewhere else that uses different products? I said, no, this unfortunately isn't a standard in our industry, and I want to change that. The reality is that you're a variable every single time, and there's no way I can. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how talented I am. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing your hair. Your chemical makeup in your body comes out on your hair, skin, and nails, and there's no way to know ahead of time. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to watch things, and I'm going to prevent things. And it was after my client had an intense heat reaction with 10 minutes of clay lightener on her hair. I didn't work with an assistant, that I stopped about double booking, because I didn't double book her that day, but the thought of that happening while I was double booked with someone and it only being me, I didn't want that. And so me being able to show up vulnerably and courageously and go, you know what, I can't guarantee anything. It actually built more trust and respect and authority and loyalty with my clients. Because rather than being like, oh yeah, I can totally do that today. This is what people pleasers do. You're actually a people disappointer. You say yes up front to win them over, only to disappoint them later. People pleasers are disappointing deferrers. Ooh, I like that. You're not a people pleaser. You're a disappointment deferrer. You say yes to something now just to get them to say yeah, like to get that happy, like get their reaction that they're happy. Like when my client would be like, I want to be platinum blonde, I'd be like, okay, let's totally do it. And I'd go to the back room and I would cross my fingers and I'd pray to the hair gods, like, please make this happen, when like scientifically and chemically, it can't happen in one go. But I didn't want to tell them that, because I thought, and this is what happens, is because I lack the self-esteem and self-confidence, that I thought if I tell them yes, they'll be happy with me. And when I started being more honest with my clients, like they'd be like, should I go somewhere else? I'd be like, no. But how often has someone guaranteed a result to you in the beginning, and then you walked away disappointed later? And they're like, all the time. A true people pleaser is honest and upfront about the reality of things, setting themselves up for success and their client up for success in the long term. Shiloh says, it doesn't matter how many times you've had anesthesia, you always have to sign a waiver before a procedure. Under promise and over deliver. Absolutely. And lots of times we fear being radically responsible and radically honest is going to deter people, when really it has the opposite effect. We just need to make sure, like, hey, I can't guarantee this, but know that I'm going to show up with all my talent, all my skill, all my knowledge. I'm going to do my best. The reality is this risk exists. You know how this came to be for me? I had LASIK eye surgery done, and I was filling out the forms, and it said, there is a chance you may go blind. Please sign here. And I was like, excuse me? I may go blind? And the lady went, yes. Okay, so here's the deal. It's less than 2% of a chance, and it rarely happens, and it shouldn't happen. But the reality is the risk exists, and we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't let you know that the risk existed. Obviously, people are still getting LASIK eye surgery done. Obviously, people are having tons of, it's such a low risk. People are still getting it done, but we need to do our due diligence so that you know be aware of the risk and make your own decision. And so that's where I started to go, oh my gosh, this heat reaction thing, it's a risk that exists for hair color. And it's very minimal, but just like can you imagine if my eye doctor or I don't know what they're called, and I apologize to anyone who is one, but if my surgeon hadn't told me that, and then I went blind and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, there is a chance you can go blind. Would I like to know that ahead of time? Right? Would have I still got the surgery? Probably. But that's what we do sometimes is we go, oh, your hair didn't turn out, or at the same, it actually didn't lift as much. I'm surprised. And they're like, well, what? And it's like, well, there was a chance this was going to happen. Did the client know that ahead of time? You'll be amazed at how much anxiety. And here's the thing. I do everything, the template of the education that I give you, the templates that I give you is to help you show up more confidently. That builds trust, respect, loyalty, and authority. Can you imagine if you told your client ahead of time, hey, there's a chance, I think your hair is going to be fine. I've had people with level 6 hair who it won't lift. And like most of the time, level 6 will lift beautifully and creamy and bright. And so I've learned how much better it will be like, hey, I think we're going to like nail in the coffin. That's not the right phrase. I think this is going to go off without a hitch. But the reality is I've seen hair that hasn't lifted like this before. And so I just got to let you know that like, I can't see there being an issue, but who knows? So I just need you to know. And then at the sink, it doesn't lift and you go, you know what? Ugh, it looks like it's in that 2%. It's lifted pretty good, but it's not lifted exactly where I wanted. And I've done, without ruining your hair, I've done as much as I can today. And they're going to be like, oh, okay. Because they knew that chance existed rather than like, oh my gosh, we'll get you platinum blonde today. I'm just using this as an example. We'll get you platinum blonde today and it ain't going to be a thing. Don't worry about it. And then all of a sudden being like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but like your hair did not lift. And then they start to, you fear that they think it's you and they think it's you because you didn't tell them. If you want to be more respected and seen as the authority and trusted and have clients not push back against prices, have clients see that you're worth that price, you need to start showing up confidently. And the way you start showing up confidently is having conscious and compassionate communication. These are the things that I teach inside of my programs. These are the things that I give you templates on so that you can show up your best self. So it eliminates the risk of you having to have redos, you emotionally discounting, you not raising your prices properly, and you not showing up in your business and not making the profit so that you can not only have the business you dreamed of, but the life you dreamed of. Because the reason why you're in business is to make a living so that you can have a life. Are you with me on this? I don't know about you, but I didn't get into business to be a workaholic. And I love what I do. And I love my clients. And sometimes that line blurred for me between, I don't know, I'm struggling. I love what I do. I would do it for free. I feel guilty for making money from this. But the reality is that I'm not alive to just work. And I love what I do. And my purpose is so much deeper than just a job. And I love it. And it's beautiful. And I love it. And it's like the most amazing thing to be able to work with clients and people. But I also want a life that I love too. And that's what I give. And that's what I'm all about. I want you to have the life, business, and bank account you've always dreamed of. And if this sounds like something for you, just give me a yes in the comments. If you want to be able to build a life and a business and a bank account you love in that order. Because I do not teach hustle. I do not teach pushing yourself to the limit. There might be seasons of discomfort. There might be seasons of giving more to build up to something. But I need you to know this. You are not on this earth to just work. You are not on this earth to struggle. You are not on this earth to be a slave to your job. You did not get into business for yourself so that you could work more. Didn't we all get into business for ourselves for the freedom? And yet now you're like ball and chain to your business and feel like you're working more than you ever have before. Let's get back to the reason why you got into business in the first place. I joke, I'm like, we all got into business for the freedom, and yet where's the freedom? You've trapped yourself. You've imprisoned yourself. It's time to change that. I want you taking clients before and after business hours and days off. Yeah. And the reason why is that your self-worth and your self-confidence is so low. You're handing it out, and what you're doing is like, oh, I'll come late. I'll stay late. I'll come in my day off because then they'll tell me how wonderful I am, and it'll make me feel really good for that moment. I'm here to tell you you're wonderful and amazing and worthy just as you are without your work, without what you offer to other people. You just as you are. skill and talent, business, service, compliments, in your worst moments are worthy of love and respect. Know that, hear that, understand that, feel it, and live it. You're a big freaking deal. And you've done a lot of hard things. And maybe the hardest thing you have to do today is love yourself. I say that to you, but I say that to me as well. I care about your well being. For me, it's about helping you build the life, business, and bank account you've always dreamed of. Not let's build a business and have you burn out and be exhausted at the end. That's what I offer is different. That's how I approach things. That's the template in which I give you. I do not teach a one size fits all. This is the only way. When you open up Google Maps, you don't get one way. You get a couple ways and you get to decide which one works best for you. That is my magic. That is what my friend Rachel, my student Rachel, reminded me of yesterday. She's like, Dawn, you have this way of giving me permission to do things the way that best works for me and showing me how to do it still. And that was so affirming to me because I don't want anyone to think that you have to do it a certain way. You have to do the way that's going to help you show up the most confident. And that's what I grant you the permission. And that's what I give you the template for. And so, I'm so glad that you needed to hear this. And so I want to let you guys know that, here, hold on. I stand firm in, what am I missing? Taking clients before, yeah, and after. I believe these concepts, but I don't trust myself to utter the word no. That's okay, Amber. You're in the right place. You're with the right people. Stick around. And here's the thing. I would love, if you guys resound with this, if you connect with this, go get on the Rock Your Business waitlist. You can click the link in my bio. Go get on DawnBradley.com/RYB, I believe. No, DawnBradley.com/waitlist. And go get on the Rock Your Business waitlist. It's going to be opening up in a week. I might be sending out something early for the waitlist people if you want to get a special invite into Aside Your Rock Your Business. My Rock Your Business program looks at things differently. It's about building your confidence, building your self-worth, helping you show up as your best version so that you're not building a business that you're tied to, you're imprisoned by, and you're trapped into, but you're building a business confidently, you're charging correctly, you're taking care of clients, you're not being combative or aggressive, you're learning how to be confident and understanding and have compassionate communication that's assertive but not aggressive. You're actually building up your trust and respect, loyalty, and authority with your clients so that you can have more time for the people and places and things that you love most. So I joined RYB a year ago and haven't started it. Kara, oh my gosh, go get in it. I hope you're in the community. We have weekly Q&A calls. It's so amazing. Kara, you got to go get in it. Shoot me a DM. How many of you guys are interested? Or we've got some RYBers in here. If you're an RYBer, put an RYB in the comments. If you're a future RYBer, if you're like, this piques my interest, I'm going to look into it a little bit more, just put future RYBer in the comments because I want to know who does this connect with. I'm not about what I teach inside of the program is how to authentically sell and how to market and how to give value and how to build your business in a way that actually serves your clients. You're only going to sell things to people who need it. And that's what Rock Your Business is. I will tell people if they're not right for it because I only want the people who it's going to actually help. I want you, like I said, I've been through the burnout multiple times. I ended up in the ER thinking I was dying, and it ended up being a stress-induced panic attack that was presenting like a stroke. I've done things the wrong way so many times. I believe my life mission is to help other people avoid the things that I've been through. So look at all these future RYBers. Oh, I love that. Love it. Okay. Well, those of you guys that have said future RYBers, please shoot me a DM after this live. Let's chat and I'll let you know, honestly, if I think it's something that's right for you or if it would probably be something, because here's the thing, I'm not the educator for everyone. And the way I educate isn't going to be for everyone. And I don't want people who aren't the right fit for Rock Your Business to be in it because it would be a waste of your time and money. But if in the case that you resonate with how I teach, how I speak, how I come across, let's connect in the DMs. Let's keep the conversation going. And I'd love to see if it is the right fit for you. Kisses from the UK. Love your tips. Thank you guys. This was so amazing. Honestly, I sat here this morning before I pressed live and I went, what do they need to hear? What do I need them to help them with? And it just came. And I just want to thank you. One of the things that I used to really struggle with is I thought me as myself, as I was, who I was on my own wasn't enough. I would always anxiously over-prepare. We need to have 3 tips to being successfully confident. The 4 secrets too. And those things help or helpful. But honestly, me embracing who I am and showing up, and I don't plan these lives out ahead of time. I sit here and I meditate and I go, what do people need to hear? And I trust that what you need to hear comes out. And it's cool because all of a sudden things will start coming out of my mouth and I don't know where they're coming from. And I'm kind of like, my brain's kind of like, what? And it's just coming. And then I see these comments from you guys going, oh my gosh, this is connecting. And so I want you to know, I've spent over 2 years, over 2 decades in the beauty industry. And I spent over a decade, almost 15 years as a self-employed one-to-one service provider. So I've been through a lot. And here's the thing, I can't guarantee and say you can find a way around things, but I can help you get through it a lot quicker and with a lot less scrapes and bruises. So thank you so much for being here. I want you guys to stay tuned on my live on Thursday because I have something really exciting I'm going to be announcing. Thursday. So today's Tuesday. So in 2 more days, Thursday morning around 8:30 a.m., set your alarms to come live with me because I've got a really fun, exciting announcement, something that's going to help you a ton and is $0. So thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you here at same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, stay weird, be inspired, and have the courage to go inspire someone else. Love you. Bye. Bye, guys over here.